Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode. All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangout. This is episode number 537. Today is the 12th of March, 2025. And we have got some good questions to answer. We have got a couple of quick announcements. But before we get into that, just wanted to take a second, say hello, and then we will be jumping right into it. So first of all, Chris, how are you doing today?
I don't know, like super busy with work. Don't know what to tell you. Like it's too many changes, too many exciting things going on. Like I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I think we were just talking AI agents, right? I think OpenAI
Yep,
just released their update.
yep.
Yep, gonna be busy. All right, well, Bradley, how about you? How are you doing?
Good, man. I agree. I think the AI stuff is developing so fast. It's very difficult to keep up with. It really is. It's That's why I drugged my feet for a while before I even started really messing with it, like other than just for content purposes and stuff. And it's crazy because we were talking about it yesterday. Chris, just a moment ago, mentioned it, but yeah, I mean, like he'll start developing something, and by the time he gets it done, there's already updates that make it obsolete. And it's
Yeah.
like, holy shit, man, this is going to be tough to keep up with. But other than that, things are good. I actually put an offer on a property in Pikeville, Kentucky, and just got it accepted last night.
Nice.
It's 50 acres, 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. So great big ass piece of property, which is what I've always wanted ever since I was a young man. So I'm looking forward to it. Our closing date is April 21st. So I got 6 weeks to get that shit to closing, but then I'm going to finally have my own permanent residence after almost a year and a half in this damn RV. So I'm looking
Time,
forward
yeah,
to it.
time to come off the road.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, we were talking local lead gen stuff yesterday. Bradley, I think you've been working on obviously the directory hybrid agency training with people, but we're going to be releasing some updates, or rather sharing some more with along the LLG kind of avenue with people in the coming future. Do you mind kind of telling people a little bit about that and kind of who that might be for, or what it would be best for?
Yeah, so part of what we teach for the DHA program is how to identify, well, first of all, select an industry so that you go into one industry and focus all of your efforts in one industry because you will get so much better results and you will significantly reduce your workload. So, number one is selecting an industry. Number two is then identifying low competition areas for that industry so that you can then start to build local lead generation assets. Start with just organic only assets. No Google Business Profile is needed. So you don't have to worry about all that verification bullshit and everything, all the problems that we go through with that. And so building local lead generation assets in the locations that were identified in your chosen industry as being low competition areas. Then once you have some of those assets starting to perform in search, so in other words, starting to rank, then they become sales tools that you can use to kind of basically pitch your services to companies in that area because now you got something to point to and you can monetize the site by either selling them the leads, doing a rank and rent, revenue share, or just assigning it to them if they decide to hire you for traditional retainer based marketing services. So in any which way, you can monetize the site either directly or indirectly, but you use that as a sales tool. So we're going to kind of launch a separate basically product where we're extracting those SOPs from the full DHA program to create a separate product specifically for the LLG sites and the whole kind of process, the model that I have developed for that. So again, it's part of the DHA program where we're going to extract the big, like the local lead generation portions or sections, components of the training and make that kind of a standalone type of a product that will include all those SOPs and everything else as well. So basically, it goes from selecting a niche, identifying low competition areas, how to build the local lead generation assets either within high level or WordPress. Both will be available in the training. And then how to do the outreach to monetize those assets once you have some that are performing. So that's the whole kind of launch that we're going to be doing sometime within the next few weeks. You're muted.
Well, there we go. We'll learn it every week again. Anyways, well, that's about the most of the announcements I had. I don't have anything else I wanted to go to. Just to say, we were also sharing Niche Dominator with people. I'm going to post the link down there. If you're on the email list, you've already seen that. That's some fantastic training as well. And I'll put the link down below. If you're not on the email list, highly suggest it, not only for getting deals on training, but also we send out a lot of great content and stuff from Hump Day Hangouts and invitations to public webinars, things like that. So head over to semanticmastery.com, hop on the email list, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So, all right, guys. Yeah, let's get into questions.
All right, right on. We got a bunch, or actually, we don't have as many, sorry, as we normally do, is what I meant to say. So
Well,
this
that's
might
good.
go
See,
fairly quick.
everyone waited for you to feel better after you were sick and then was like, okay, now we can take it easy on it.
Yeah. No kidding. I finally got over that, by the way. So thank God. All right, let's jump into it and grab the screen. Who's I've had a question from a few weeks ago that I didn't answer, so I went ahead and highlighted it just so I could cover it briefly. So I'll talk about that for just a moment. Can you briefly go through how to structure the site architecture for the directory? Well, it really depends on the platform that you're using. With the WP Geo directory, which is what I use, you have a few different options, but the way that I have it set up is just set up for, let me just give you an example. I'll do it over here.
Oh, hey, Bradley, is the redirect updated?
Yes,
Cool.
but it was updated late. So, what am I looking for? Sorry, I'm looking for one of the new locations that I had set up, and I'm just looking for the page URL so I can show it. Oh, for God's sakes, I don't see it off the top of my head, so I'm just going to go back into um, the actual site to get it. I was running late today, so that's why we got the redirect set up late and everything else. Anyway, so I'm going to go into companies and just grab one of the URLs so that I can show you what it is that I'm talking about. There's a couple of, I'll show you where in WP Geo directory it gives you the option to select how the URL structure is set up. I do have some, if you're not using Geo directory and you're going to use like a custom developed directory or something like that, or you're just a WordPress site that you're going to kind of create whatever, I can give you some pointers on it that would perform better. I'm not crazy about WP Geo directory. It's just the platform that I've been using now for over 4 years, or well, I guess the first year and a half I was on a different WordPress theme than I was than WP Geo directory, but I ended up switching to this one. So for at least 2.5 years, I've been using this one. All right, so we're going to take a look at that URL structure very quickly. All right, so you can see, sorry, my screen's small, but let me just copy it, put it in a notepad file. Got it. Oh, God damn it. Get out of the way. Fucking Zoom. All right. Zoom back or grab the screen again and then we'll take a look at this. So, all right. So this is what I'm talking about. Like the way that WP Geo directory works is you're going to have, this is the custom post type. So the whatever you can adjust that slug. I think by default, I think it's company, but you could do contractors, firms, clinics. You could put anything that you want there. And then you can select the URL in the URL, like how much geography hierarchy do you want to include in the URL? So for example, if it's a multiple country project, you can have the country in there, I believe. I think you can. I'm not 100% sure because I only use it in the US, but I think you can put a country in there. You can also do a state. possibly a county. We'll go in and look at the options in a minute, but then you can definitely do the city. So what I usually do is just, I mean, as you can see, I just have it set up as company, and then I have the city, because then we have the company name as the slug for the listing itself, right? And so the reason why I did not include the state is because the more folders or directories that you add into a URL, the kind of weaker the final post is. In other words, as it receives internal link equity from the taxonomy structure, the structure of the hierarchy of the categories, subcategories, et cetera. And in this case, they're company categories and location categories. The more directories or folders that you put into a URL, so the further away it goes from the home page, from the top level, then kind of the weaker it gets. And so I wanted to keep it very basic. And that's why I just did whatever this company slug is, that again, that can be modified. And then I just did the actual, the city that that particular business is located in, right? So that's kind of the way that I do it. Now, I did some consulting with potential client. He's not a client yet, but I did some consulting with him that they're going to, it's a cybersecurity company, and they're developing their own directory site that they're building with their own kind of, not in WordPress is what I'm saying. And so they asked for some pointers on how to structure it. And so I gave them some examples of how to structure at the service category level. So like whatever, products or services they're promoting within the directory. So the service categories, and then how to also add location categories. And if I can, I don't know that I could pull that up and show that without spending some time cleaning up the file, because I don't want to give away his project yet. But so this is, again, let me just show you where you would see that in there. If we go into WP Geo Directory settings, we're going to go into the settings here. And let's see, how do we do this? I don't mess around in here a whole lot, but I believe you get to select it. Enable locations, country. Yeah, you can have multiple selected countries. Then multi-regions, which is, regions mean state. Then there's city. So you can enable multiple cities. You can restrict this to be like, so for example, why would you have these different options in the Geo directory? Why do they have them? Is what I'm saying. Well, because if it's a city-specific directory, then you could eliminate a lot of these, or disable a lot of these options, right? Because then there's no reason to have multiple regions, that's states. If it's all in one city, then that's going to be in one state, right? At least usually. So again, depending on the types of the way that you want to set it up in Geo Directory, which if you just go to WP Geo Directory, directory.com, I think it is. Yeah, they have under their support, they have their documentation in here somewhere. I don't know if maybe it's the community forum. Yeah, in here. So this is where you can get support. And once you're logged into their dashboard too, they also have some documentation that you can use to then go in and kind of configure the WP Geo directory with the URL structure the way that you want it. Okay. So that's all. Like I said, I kept it quite simple because I didn't want to mess with it too much, and I didn't want it to be a super long URL structure. It does make sense though to add in the state sometimes as well, but like I said, that makes it a bit longer than I would prefer. So I left it like this. But Geo directory kind of, it's somewhat restricted into your customization options for it. Whereas if you were doing something, using another platform or building your own custom solution, then you would have a lot more freedom or control, so to speak. So, all right, moving on. Next one is, I noticed, let's see, this is Kolja, I think it is. Zoom in. I noticed you tested the tree service page using subfolders for multiple counties, unlike felling.pro, which uses subdomains. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Kolja. Not sure what you're talking about. Felling Pro seems to perform much better. Do you have any insights on why? Well, yeah, I know why. I'm not sure which other example you're talking about, but I know why Felling Pro, the subdomain sites perform better, because the more hyper-focused the site, the better it performs. That's, at least in my experience. Through my testing, I found that the more hyper-local the site, or hyper-focused, right? Meaning, don't have a site that has too many topical or service categories on it that are unrelated, because then that dilutes what Google understands about that site, right? Same thing with locations. If you try to build like one, if I were to try to build all the subdomain locations that I have for Felling Pro onto the root domain, which maybe that's what you're talking about. I had started to do that with local.treecarehq.com, and it caused all kinds of problems, which I'll explain now, because I discovered this through my own testing, which is what I always do before I start teaching it. And that is, for a while, there's a couple of reasons why I don't recommend doing this, which is what I'm showing you now. Number one, TreeCare HQ is a marketing agency. Okay, so it is the directory and a marketing agency. So I just have a DBA for my main LLC, my main corporate entity that is for TreeCare HQ. So TreeCare HQ is a fictitious name or a doing business as name that is that is registered under my main LLC. Okay, and so I had got a DBA for TreeCare HQ, and it's a directory site and a marketing agency. Okay, so I had a Google business profile for TreeCare HQ that I had registered to Culpeper, Virginia, which is where I lived at the time. And that was listed as a marketing agency and an internet marketing, some other, categories, but it was a marketing agency, internet marketing service, etc. So those were the Google business categories. But then I decided I wanted to start building lead generation assets using the TreeCare HQ brand. So this would be actual tree service locations and lead gen assets that, instead of a directory site and a marketing agency, then I went and started registering GBPs as, let's see, I've still got a few of them that are actually out there currently published. Don't look at this page, because this page is not what I would recommend. There's too much content on this page, in my opinion. My pages have significantly less content now, but here's an example of the locations that I started to create for the TreeCare HQ brand. But notice how these are tree service locations, GBPs, right? So what happened was, once I started getting more and more of these built and verified, these GBPs that were branded as TreeCare HQ local. Hopefully that's clear. Now, each individual location would be TreeCare HQ plus the city that it was named or that it was located in. But that was those are all locations that fell under the TreeCare HQ local brand. Hopefully that makes sense. But what happened was, as soon as once I started building, several of these locations that were branded as TreeCare HQ local with the city name as whatever it was, then Google it started to ambiguate, what Google understood about TreeCare HQ, the brand. Because originally it was a marketing agency and a directory site, but then I started building lead gen assets that were listed as tree service contractors or companies. And so it started to confuse Google, and it really diluted what Google understands about TreeCare HQ, which is why even to this day, because I still have a number of TreeCare HQ local assets out there that I need to convert over to Felling Pro. I've done that for a number of them, but a number of them are still out there with the TreeCare HQ brand, local brand, excuse me. So, for example, if we come in here and we look at some of these, I moved off of there because they're not. Let's see if that one's been done yet. Yeah, Canadian Felling Pro. Let's see if I had added the GBP to this one yet. It doesn't look like I did. Anyway, I had a number of other ones that were that have already been branded. So, for example, if we look at Oklahoma Felling Pro, which is for Oklahoma County, you'll see that the Google business profile is now, this used to be TreeCare HQ Bethany, because Bethany, Oklahoma is where this GBP was registered, but it's covering the Oklahoma City area, right? So Bethany is an adjacent town right outside of Oklahoma City. And so again, I started to rebrand most of those TreeCare HQ locations that were TreeCare HQ local locations as Felling Pro, because to help disambiguate what Google understands about TreeCare HQ. I want Google to think TreeCare HQ is a directory site and a marketing agency, not a tree service company. And that's what I did when I started building those local TreeCare HQ local locations and GBPs. Okay, so to answer your question, on the local site, I had this built out with, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 locations. But this site never performed as well as a lot of my other tree service sites that I had built for just standalone, lead gen brands or for clients or anything else, where the the site was really hyper focused on one specific area, one specific service area. Hopefully that's clear. And what I found was just through, again, just from testing and then starting to build this site, that this one did not perform nearly as well as a larger site with multiple locations, because it's not hyper focused, either hyper local or hyper focused on a particular industry. This was focused on an industry, but the locations were diluted because of having multiple areas that we were targeting across multiple states. Now, I'm not saying you can't get traction that way. I've just found that the local sites that are hyper focused, right? Either hyper focused on just the local side or the topic, or really both, being hyper focused on the product or service categories that this company provides and a specific location. Those tend to perform significantly better in my experience. And so that's part of the reason why I started shifting a lot of these over into and rebranding them as Spelling Pro, because the hyper local sites on subdomains perform better because they're isolated, smaller sites specifically focused on the products or services that the tree service provides, or a tree service typically provides, and is specifically they're hyper focused for that particular service area only. And so I don't recommend doing it this way. That's why in the DHA program we teach to do it on the subdomain, like on subdomains of whatever your local lead generation brand is, because they tend to perform better. Okay, hopefully that's clear. It's a good question. We're going to move on. Do you have any insights on why, in theory, subfolders should benefit more from the overall domain strength? Yeah, in theory, in practice, they can sometimes, but you know, I don't care about how much authority it's inheriting. What I care is about performance. Now, don't get me wrong, subdomains can inherit domain authority, right? And they can also inherit trust flow and topical trust flow if you are linking to them from like a root site like this, because that's what we build links to this page here. And then because we have internal links to the subdomain sites, these subdomain sites will start to accrue both trust flow in the appropriate categories from just these internal links, even if there's no external links built to the subdomain site, right? So let me give you an example and see if we have any that have not been, I don't know if I've built links to this one yet. There is links to that one. That one's actually one of my newer sites that I just rebranded from just a generic Lynchburg tree service brand to that. And let's see if I had Zootrix open. Usually do see it. That one's doing quite good, actually, for being a new site that I just deployed, like, I don't know, not very long ago. Take a look at that one really quick. That's going to be this one. Yeah, so this one that's Lynchburg Spelling Pro. That's the one I just pulled up. And you see this one's doing really good. We got 25 keywords in the top 10, 8 keywords in the top 3. And it's a new site with very few backlinks, as you can see. I got too many things open. There's not a whole lot of backlinks built to it, but it's still doing quite well. But what I was going to do was try, God damn it, I keep doing that. It's driving me nuts. Try that again. All right. So we'll try one more and see if we can find one that we haven't built any links to yet, or very few, if any. Let's try this one. Yeah, so this one's only got 2 backlinks built to it. Only one of them has any actual trust flow value. The other one was coming from some sort of, it looks like a directory site. Yeah, the business directory. So this one has some of the trust flows coming from here. That's business/real estate. That's why you can see that. It's only one link, though, that has any trust flow. So the rest of the trust flow that's flowing into this site is coming from internal links from the root domain, which is what I was showing you here, from this domain here. Because if we go look at the backlink profile to that, you'll see we've built quite a few links to that one. So we've got 24 referring domains building links to that in these categories. Okay. So anyway, hyperlocal sites tend to perform better. That's why I teach that. They just build more of them. And you start to, as you're building links to any of the subdomain sites, it's going to benefit the overall domain, so that when you deploy subsequent subdomains, then they're instantly going to inherit link authority and relevance from the parent domain. So that's why we do this, because you build kind of you reach kind of a tipping point or a critical mass at some point where it becomes a lot easier to rank new subdomain sites when you deploy them, because it instantly inherits the kind of relevance and link equity from the root domain. Okay, so it's just a more efficient way to build sites, in my opinion, because they perform better. They'll need less links individually. So, and again, I've done a lot of testing with that, and the larger sites that are spread across many different service areas tend to not perform as well. Okay. Ben says, is it worth building organic only assets in high comp areas? Yeah, I mean, you can, as long as yes, you can build. Is it worth it? It can be, yeah, because if you get something ranked in a higher competition area, it's just an organic only asset. That's still that's very valuable, right? It's typically more valuable than ranking an organic only asset in a lower competition area. Not that you can't monetize that too. That's also valuable in a lower competition area. But in the higher competition areas, you typically fetch a higher price for, right? If you're going to sell leads from it or rent it out or whatever the case may be, if it's a higher competition area, companies are typically spending more in order to achieve results. So if you can rank a organic only asset in a high comp area, that's a valuable asset that you could monetize for usually a higher price than you could monetize an asset in a lower competition area. So of course it's worth it, in my opinion. But what I recommend is, why go through the trouble of building organic only assets in high competition areas for lead gen or for sales tools or for whatever else, if you can get traction significantly quicker or faster by building organic only assets in low competition areas, right? Because here's the thing, even if let's say you build a organic asset in a high competition area and you spend 3, 4, 5 months, let's say, 4 months. Say you spend 4 months working on it to get it to finally rank well. That doesn't have to be 100% ranked for all the search queries, everything else. Just you get a number of valuable pages for valuable search queries ranked in specific locations within a particular traditional service area or city or whatever it is that you're targeting. Now, you could use that to then market to companies in that area that provide those products or services and point to what you've already got and say, look, I'm already outperforming you for some of your products and services in some of the areas that you provide them. So I can do this for you. But here's the thing. So yes, you can monetize that and generally for more, but you're in a higher competition area. It took you several months to get results for your own asset. You can usually get better results faster for a client that has a verified GBP, has an established business with some history, all that kind of stuff. But you still know that it's a higher competition area. So even if you land that, let's say you close the client, you land them, right? And now you've got a higher competition campaign that you're going to be working on. And guys, any of you that have done SEO for any length of time for local businesses, local SEO, where you're selling your SEO services and marketing services to local businesses, when are you always in the most danger of losing the client? The initial period when you're trying to get them ranked. And so if you're targeting higher competition areas, then you're right back into that kind of stressful situation of, okay, now I close the client and now I'm under pressure to get them ranked within the time frame that I promised them. And during that time, you're always going to be in danger of being fired, because clients, even if they initially upfront agree to that it could take 3 to 6 months. Let's just say that you disclaim that up front, you make sure that they're aware of it, and you get their buy-in before they even sign up for your retainer-based services or whatever else. Now it doesn't matter whether they agreed to it initially. Business owners have short memories, especially when they're paying money on a monthly basis and not seeing a return yet, right? So whether they agreed to, yes, I understand it's going to take 4 to 6 months for me to get results. Within those first 3 to 4 months, like they're ready to cancel at any moment. It happens all the time, unless you get them to sign a contract, and even then they could still want to cancel. I don't do contracts with clients. I just tell them month to month, but I tell them up front, like with tree service contractors, my guarantee is I'll get you within the Maps 3-pack across a 5.5 square mile area for your primary search query within 4 months, or else we'll continue working on it for free until it does. That way we have a guarantee, but it gives us 4 months and everything else. And so here's the thing. Do you think I want to go pitch my services to areas like Austin, Texas, or, any of the major kind of big cities where it's going to be very difficult to get traction within 4 months? I'm not saying it can't be done, but it can be much more difficult. I can make that claim all day long in lower competition areas because I know for a fact I'll be not, I don't know for a fact, but I know that I have a very high likelihood of being able to achieve that without having to then work for free for months until I get them ranked, right? So I could meet the guarantee if I'm selective in which areas I'm targeting to promote that service with the guarantee. So that's all I'm saying is like it doesn't make sense to build organic only assets in high competition areas. Is it worth it? Well, it can be because you can monetize it for a higher price, but then you're right back to the same thing as if you just go pitch your services in high competition areas anyways, which is you're always going to be under pressure to perform, especially during that initial period where you're gaining momentum for the client. That's when you're always the most in the most danger of being fired or canned by the client because they haven't seen a return yet, right? So I prefer, and what I teach is to go target lower competition areas first, because then you know when you get a client in that area that they're also in a low competition area because you've already proven it to yourself by ranking organic only assets in that area. You know how quickly and how little work it took to get them ranked. So now you know when you land a client in one of those areas that it's going to be very similar in the lower amount of work and resources and attention and everything else that you would have to invest into that campaign to get it to perform. And why not just do that? So yes, you sell it for less or monetize it for less, right? I'll charge a lower retainer value, sure. But it's an easy campaign to get performance in initially. It's an easier campaign to maintain over time. And so you can just make it up in volume. So instead of, again, think about this, guys. Would you rather have 5 clients paying you $5,000 a month? Or would you rather have, 25 clients paying you $1,000 a month? Think about it. So a lot of you might say, well, I'd rather have 5 clients paying me $5,000 a month. Well, I wouldn't, because number one, that generally, if you're charging $5,000 a month, you're probably in higher competition areas or industries or both, higher competition industries and in higher competition areas. Number two, if you lose any one of those clients, that's 20% of your revenue, just like that. So I prefer to have multiple clients that are easier to get results for, easier to maintain the results once we get them ranked, and less monetary investment from them so that they're not as concerned about it. Somebody paying $5,000 a month, oftentimes, now it depends. Sometimes larger companies, they don't even blink an eye. But the kind of companies that I work with smaller tree service companies, I've had tree service contractors that I've charged as much as $2,500 a month for. My average is $1,000 a month for tree service contractors, and it has been for several years. But I've had contractors that had large service areas or were in very competitive areas where we did charge significantly more. Those guys are always looking for reasons to complain about what they're spending. And I get it. I understand. And that's why, like I said, I'd rather stick with what is more acceptable as a retainer value, like an average retainer value for tree service contractors, which I have found is anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a month, depending on the competition area and also how big their service area is. They don't tend to balk at that as much, right? Especially if you can get them results right up front, which is why I do like to do lead generation assets first before I pitch my services to them, so that I have already ranking assets to point to when I'm pitching my services in their area. I can say I've already got sites that are ranking for some of your services in some of the areas that you serve, and I can do that for you. And then I sign them up for lead gen or retainer-based services, and then I'll assign the local lead gen asset to them. And I can, so that they initially have leads coming in from my lead gen asset while I'm working on getting their business and their website, their GBP ranked, if that's clear. So I'd rather make it up in volume with a lower monetary value because it's easier to get results, easier to maintain, and less likely for the client to be concerned about it if they are, not spending as much, especially if you have some assets that can produce results for them when you first sign them up, which is why the organic assets are good to have. You won't get a lot of leads for those, but it's something's better than nothing is my point. So anyways, a good question. Moving on. If a business decides they absolutely don't want to show their location on their GBP, do you still recommend building citations? Yeah, you can. You just have to, there are some citation directories or business directories, I should say, that allow submissions without a street address. Bright Local has a list of them. Just go search Google for Bright Local list of citations or business directories that don't need addresses or something like that, or service area business citations. That's what you should put. Let's do a quick search for that. Service area business citations. Right Local had a right there, top citation sites for service area businesses. So you can go here and you can find USA, UK, Canada, Australia. So if we just look at the USA, here are top citation sites for service area businesses in the USA. Right, hide address. These shows the ones that you can hide address and the ones that you can't. Right, so it doesn't make sense to do so. Yeah, because that the citations guys are a authority builder, right? It's an authority. It's another validation point that corroborates what Google understands about the business. You get it? So citations can be business directory listings or not, or any published mention of name, address, phone number, and website, or some combination of those 4 data points, right? NAP or NAPW, name, address, phone number, and website. Any published mention of some combination of those data points is a citation, right? There's business directory listings, which are typically structured citations, and then there's any published mention anywhere else of any combination of those data points is a citation, right? Think about when you were in school, when you wrote papers, you had to cite your sources. What did you do to cite your sources? You would reference where the content came from, the publishing date, the author, those kind of things. That's a citation. So a published mention of the name, address, phone number, and website information, or some combination of those data points, is a citation, right? There's structured citations, which is what we think of as business directory listings. And then there's unstructured citations, which is anywhere else, press releases, Web 2.0 posts, Web 2.0 profiles, video citations, image citations, document citations, just having NAP published within the post body of a post, that also counts as a citation, right? All of those things can be done. So you can publish citations in a number of places, not just business directories, and you can omit the street address. So you would still put the company name, the street, or excuse me, city, state, zip, and phone number and website address, because you want to add as much detail as possible. But if the company doesn't want their address published, then you would just omit the street address, but put all those other data points. So name, city, state, zip, phone number, and website address. Okay. But then, like I said, there are some business directories that will give you a structured citation without a street address published, needing to be published. Okay. All right, moving on. Greg says, hey, I noticed that most of the top SEO gurus use Google Search Console, but the first thing that pops into my head, excuse me, is that if you put all your web assets into one location that is owned by Google, you're making it easy for them to hurt your business. For example, if they penalize one of your assets or something, it makes it very likely that they will check all of your assets to see if you have violations on those other assets as well. Or maybe they could see that you have a bunch of sites, including non-money authority boosting sites just for backlinks, and figure that they should check to see what you're doing. Is there anything at all to be worried about, or is it just being paranoid? No, you should worry about that. If you're doing anything spammy or you're building your own link networks and things like that, yeah, you don't want to use the same Search Console account, right? Use multiple Search Console accounts, spread them out across, don't put all your eggs in one basket, spread them out across multiple baskets, right? Baskets being different Google accounts, right? But also like link building sites and stuff like that, I don't typically recommend, if you're doing that kind of stuff, that you put them in the Search Console really anyway. You can, if you need to, just use different accounts. That's all I'm saying. But there's really no need to do that if you're just building sites for link building purposes and stuff. But, just use multiple accounts. It's not hard to do. Just so you know, like all my Felling Pro sites, they're all in my Felling Pro workspace account. So, like, in fact, if we just go look at SEO Gets, I'll show you, because that's what I'm logged into with that right now, SEOgets.com. SEO Gets, not SET. At least I thought it was going to live. How is this thing doing? Try that again. Ah, shit, I don't have it open here. Okay, never mind. I thought I was still signed in this browser. Anyway, I was going to show you how I've got all of my Felling Pro sites in one, because I'm not doing anything spammy with those sites. So I don't care. I don't care that Google has that I have all of these subdomain sites in one Search Console account, because I'm not doing anything spammy with them. So I don't think it's a problem if you're doing spammy stuff that is questionable, right? Or violating Google's acceptable use policy. Then yeah, spread them out across other Search Console sites if they even need to be added to Search Console. Okay. Remember, some sites for testing purposes or for link building purposes, things like that, don't need to be included anyway. All right, moving on. YouTube comment, these are usually difficult. Can we use multiple ID pages as citations? No, you only have one ID page per location, guys, right? You can have multiple cloud pages. An ID page is nothing other than a cloud page, right? And it doesn't have to be a cloud page. That's just what I use for ID pages is a cloud page. But it's how you use the cloud page that makes it an ID page. It's where you reference it, which is in the add ID field of the local business schema. That's what makes it an ID page, right? There's nothing special about an ID page, guys. It's just a cloud page that then references all of the page URLs that have accurate information published about that business location. That's all it is. It's a collection of validating data points in one centralized resource that is then referenced in the dedicated @ID field of the local business schema, which is specifically intended to tell the search engine bots that that is a resource that they can go to corroborate or validate local business information, essentially who the business is, what they do, and where they do it. That's what an ID page is. It doesn't have to be a cloud page. I just happen to use cloud pages to host my ID page because I like to siphon some authority from, in my case, the Amazon AWS, the S3 bucket domain, because I have a collection of all of the page URLs within the page. Let me give you an example. So here's an ID page. All right. It's hosted on an Amazon S3 bucket, as you can see, right? And all it is a cloud page, a standard cloud page that then has a collection of all the page URLs that are the most important and that help to validate how the GBP is optimized and what Google understands about the business. So we've got the money site embedded here. This is a branded blogger. This is the Press Advantage organization page. This is Batch GeoMap. This is Citation Vault, which links to the ID page. That right there, if we open that link in a new tab, see, it just goes to the ID page. And I don't use Citation Vault ever to link to the money site. Then we have the Google Business Map embed, NAP, name, address, phone number, website information, links to the service pages, links to the location pages, links to the social media profiles. And then up here in the G sheet is where we have all other page URLs that we can find in Google's index that have accurate information published about the business. There's over 200 page URLs in this G sheet. I think it's 212 or something like that. And if we just click through some of these, and you'll see that they go to various things like citations, press releases, Web 2.0s, all kinds of stuff. But those are direct links from this ID page that is then referenced in the @ID field of the local business schema for this business, right? And then we use that as a primary link building target because when we build links to that page, because of all the page URLs that are referenced within the ID page, you guys see the @ID field in the home and construction business schema is referencing that ID page URL, right? And then that's why we build links at tier 1. When we build links at tier 1, we do it this way typically, which is we're going to do an anchor text link to the money site, an anchor text link to the ID page, and a Google Business Profile Map embed. And that's what's shown in my tier 1 link sheet, right? We have a money site target URL. There's the anchor text. There's the anchor text type because I classify all anchor text into one of 5 anchor text types for local SEO. And then we have the ID page URL, the ID page anchor, the anchor text type. And then we have the Google Business Profile Map, which I typically do a map embed. If I'm going to link to a map with an anchor text link, I'm going to do a map share URL, a link to the map share URL, not to the map CID URL. Don't build links directly to the CID URL. That's a spam signal. Okay. So this just indicates a frame is an iframe. We use the CID map URL when we're doing an iframe. Well, when we do an iframe, it's just we go grab the embed code. But then when we're doing an anchor text link, we're going to build a link to the map share URL so that we're not spamming the CID URL. Okay. Okay. But so as far as other ID page, or excuse me, other cloud pages, yeah, like, if you do cloud stacks or just individual cloud pages, which, isn't part of a stack, yeah, you can always reference the NAP in the, on the page or in the content of the page somewhere. And that becomes, or NAPW, right? Which then that becomes a citation, or right? It doesn't have to be a structured citation, but it's a citation nonetheless. So yeah, you can use cloud pages for that. Okay, moving on. And I'm assuming that's whose iPhone. For your monthly link service, how do you consistently build links that are topically or geographically relevant to each project? Your blog list only has a certain number or a certain amount in each topic and location. Are you hunting down new links for each project? Yes, that's precisely what we do. Only for subscriber clients, though. One-off service, if somebody comes in and orders links from our one-off service menu, then you're limited to what's in our inventory, what's currently available in inventory. So if it's a one-off service and somebody's already exhausted which of what our available inventory is, then I have to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, we've exhausted the inventory. So we can either replace topical links with geographic links if we have inventory available for that, or we can replace geographic links with topical links if we have inventory in either one of those. Sometimes we'll exhaust both topical links and geographic link sources, and then we won't be able to do it. However, if we have if it's a subscriber client, then we'll go out and build more inventory specifically because that client is a subscriber client. And so we take part of their link building budget and we'll continue to build out our inventory so that we have more link building sources with the appropriate either topical or geographic relevance that the client needs. So and then we also do the custom rebuilds, which again, I could demonstrate that right here with this Louisville Spelling Pro project. Under tier 1 links, if you look at our type column, AI means it's a topical link, and we used AI to help us develop the content. LB means it's a local blog link, which means that's a link with geographic relevance. And then here's the rebuilds. Any of the number values in this type column, those are custom rebuilds. Those are where we go out and hunt down a specific domain for this one client and this one client only. And then we do, very similar to what I just showed you with an ID page, is we build a cloud page that then we map the custom domain to, because this domain has relevant metrics. Let's go take a look at it, right? So you'll see that the trust flow value coming from this, what I call is a custom rebuild. All a custom rebuild is where we go hunt down an expired domain that was relevant, had a relevant link profile pointing to it. We do some spam checking first to make sure that it was clean and not been spammed. And we don't, we don't have 100% success on that. Sometimes we analyze a domain that doesn't appear to be spammed, but then we buy it and it won't index, and it's because it's been marked as a spam domain at some point or something like that. That happens occasionally. It's fairly rare, but it does happen occasionally. But then we just build a cloud page. It's just a cloud page. It's actually hosted on either Amazon S3 or Rackspace or one of my VPS instances. But it's just a cloud page that is then hosted, and then we map a custom domain over to it so that we can basically pull the metrics from it. See what I'm saying? We're pushing these metrics, which is a trust flow, topical trust flow in business construction and maintenance with trust flow 22 value. And we're pushing that to this site by linking out with the same kind of linking scheme that I just showed here, right? 2 anchor text links and a map embed. That's what's in this page. Okay. So yes, to answer your question, we will build additional inventory. If it's a subscriber client, if it's a one-off service, you're limited to what is available in our current inventory. And then we also build custom rebuilds for clients when needed. We do a lot of that at tier 2, just to be clear. If you come back and look at tier 2, you'll see I've got a significantly higher quantity of custom rebuilds at tier 2 than I do at tier 1. And there's a reason for that, right? Because we like to try to use our inventory from our blog sites first at tier 1, so that then we can build tier 2 links with custom rebuilds to help power up the blogs even more, because that benefits not only that particular client, but the entire blog by building additional tier 2 referring domains to the blog, which will benefit that specific client, which is why we're building tier 2 links directly to their tier 1 posts. But because of the internal linking on the blogs, some of that link equity and relevance will flow from the target post that we're linking to kind of distribute to other posts on the site, thereby strengthening the referring domain more, which makes the link more valuable for that specific client, as well as all other clients that also have links on that site. So that's precisely why we do more tier 2 link building with custom rebuilds, because it helps to power up the tier 1 links, not just for the client, but for everybody else as well. Okay. Moving on. Okay. I think that's one I just answered. Yes. Okay. Next one is Paul. And good. We're almost out of time too. So this is good timing today. Paul says, since all your tree service sites have the exact same page structure and exact same topics and entities in your headers, have you had your sites gotten hit with duplicate content? No. Why would they? It's unique content on every site, right? They have the same structure, but it's a different location and it's different content, different brand, right? Right. So even the Felling Pro brand, it's all part of the Felling Pro brand, but each location has its own kind of Felling Pro name. So it's not duplicate content, right? It's not even duplicate content if it's on the same domain. If you're using unique content on every page, it's not duplicate content. Now, I certainly wouldn't want to have on my sites, let's just pick one. I wouldn't want to have pages for tree removal Louisville, tree removal Newburgh, tree removal Okolona, tree removal Shively, and then repeat it with tree trimming Louisville, tree trimming Newburgh, because even if I have unique content on all of those pages, that is redundant. It's not duplicate, but it's redundant. And Google doesn't like that right now because it uses more resources than necessary. And it's repetitive. It's saying the same damn things over and over and over and over again, which is why I don't do that at all anymore. We have one page for every service, one page for every city. And all sites have unique content because I run the prompts each time we build a site. We don't just copy and paste the same content. Copy and paste the same prompt, but it's going to be unique content for each location site, if that makes sense. So it's not duplicate. And because we don't have a lot of redundancy on the site, I don't have any problem getting these sites indexed, guys. Okay. That's what I was trying to show a moment ago. In fact, see if I can pause real quick and go into SEO Gets, show you what I was going to show you for all those sites. Got to get signed in again. So give me 1 second. I got this, got it paused. So just bear with me 1 minute, guys. I do want to demonstrate that just because I think it was a good question anyway. So, excuse me. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to unpause the screen. So these are all Felling Pro sites in here. And you can see there's no problem with these sites indexing and starting to get traffic, right? So they're not duplicates, guys. It's not duplicates. Different content on each page. Get back to the questions, and we got one more, I believe. In your opinion, who has the best Facebook and Google Ads training courses? I don't know about Facebook because I don't do Facebook at all. Never did. Don't care to. I have no desire to whatsoever. But I think the Google Ads training, the best is probably Forge. Ed Leak. If you just go look at Ed Leak's YouTube channel, you can find all the links to his training. I think their training's awesome. I'm in one of his Agency Forge or something like that. It's called the Google Ads training. It's like $200 a month. It's a mastermind or whatever, but it's really good. So I think he's probably one of the best out there for local ad campaigns, for like lead gen type campaigns with using Google Ads. So I highly recommend him. Like I said, if you go to his YouTube channel, you can watch some of his videos, and he'll point you to, I think he's got various levels of training too, like some one-off training products, as well as the mastermind, which, like I said, I think I pay $200 a month for that. But I think he's probably the best. There's another one, G-Ads Mastery, I think it is. G-Ads Mastery. This guy's in Australia, I think it is. I think this is it. No, I don't think that's him. Maybe it's a different website. Anyways, there's another guy too that I could have sworn this was it, but maybe this is. Anyway, just go with that leak for now. I can't help you with Facebook ads because I don't do Facebook ads. Adam, if you're still on, do you have any recommendations for Facebook ads?
No, nothing current. It's been a little
Okay.
while. Probably need to get some updates.
I agree. Hernan doesn't do training anymore, right? He just does.
Yeah, I think he's just been doing agency stuff.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say, because if Hernan was doing Facebook ads training, I'd point everybody to him, but I think he just does Facebook ads for others. So, all right. I think we're about to wrap up, guys. So let's see if I've got any questions that need to be answered. What's up, Craig? What's up, Cecilia? Is that why your homepage ranks for the service page, or you don't have a designated service page? Is that why your homepage ranks for the service page? Oh, Measy. I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't understand what your question is for. Costco says if you build everything on subdomains, doesn't that mean if Google decides to penalize your main domain, you lose all your sites? Yes. But Costco membership, if you build all of your locations onto one site instead of separate subdomains and you lose the domain, you lose all of your sites too. So I don't understand that argument. I'm not picking on you. You're right. If you catch a penalty on the root domain, you'll lose all your subdomains. But here's the thing. Why would you catch a penalty on the root domain if you're not doing anything spammy? There's no pages on this site other than the root domain, which is the home page, which is basically a directory of the subdomain sites. That's all it is. And I have a contact request here and a pop-up form. And then we have a privacy policy page. That's it. This is a 3-page site. Well, it's really a 2-page site, a home page and a privacy policy page. And then there's the pop-up for the contact request. And that's it. So why would I get a penalty applied against this domain? It's very unlikely. That's very unlikely because there's nothing spammy being done with this root domain. If I was going to catch a penalty anywhere, it would likely be on a subdomain site. But then that penalty would be isolated to that particular subdomain. But if you're doing all of your locations, you're building all of your locations out on one domain, and you're doing all different types of SEO and link building to different locations with for the different locations that you're optimizing for, etc. Now you've significantly increased the likelihood that you're going to catch a penalty because of something you were doing at one of those locations or more than one, whatever. And that when the penalty is applied to the domain, now you've lost everything. With the subdomain sites, you stand a much better chance of not losing everything because it's more likely that an individual subdomain site would be penalized, and it's going to be isolated to that particular subdomain. It doesn't affect the sister or sibling subdomains or the parent. Now, if the parent does catch a penalty, though, you're right. It will affect all the subdomains. And unfortunately, some of the DHA program members got caught up in the December spam update from the December 19th to December 26th, the December 2024 spam update. Even though they hadn't done anything spammy, there was a lot of unintended consequence from that spam update, which happens all the time anyway. And so there was a number of DHA members that their root domain got hit for whatever reason is unclear to me because they weren't doing anything spammy and they lost all their subdomain sites. But you know what the fix is? Go buy another root domain and just remap all of your subdomain sites to new subdomains on the new domain. And it came back, right? They came back. It was just a matter of the domain itself got hit. That's also why I like to use high-level sites because it's just a CNAME mapping. It's not like having to migrate sites from one domain to another when you've got like WordPress sites and all that other kind of stuff. Hopefully that's clear. So just again, like I said, I'm not picking on you. I hope you understand that. I prefer subdomains because it can isolate a potential penalty to just an individual subdomain site. But you are right. If it does get applied to the root, it's going to affect everything. What are your thoughts on cold calling businesses in low comp areas and pitching the guarantee? Yeah, certainly. If you don't mind cold calling, I hate cold calling. I absolutely hate it. I don't do it at all. I did it sometimes, and I always hated it, and I wasn't very successful with it, and so I prefer not to do it. But yeah, can you do it? Sure. Yeah, if you're one of the types that can do that, and you have the testicular fortitude to put up with all that kind of rejection and the anger that you're going to get on the receiving end of those cold calls, which happens often, by all means, that's a very fast way to generate revenue. 100%. Okay. Michelle said, Bradley, did you get into Peter's Drew new Rank Bridge agent program? Yes, I did. I most certainly did. I just joined yesterday, as a matter of fact. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. So I'm going to be working through that over the next few days, trying to get set up and all that. It'll be I don't have a lot of bandwidth to go and like, you know what I mean, to play with that kind of stuff. But I did get into it. I purchased it just yesterday. Jim says, for clarification, the ID page is referenced in the local business schema, not the organization. Correct, Jim. You can have an organization ID page, but that would be location neutral, right? An organization ID page, the way that I look at it, is a overall brand ID page that talks about who the business is and what they do, but not where they do it. That's what local business schema is for. Local business schema is specifically about a particular branded location, business location. It's who the business is, what they do, and where they do it. Now you have location information. So you can have an ID page, which is a general brand ID page referencing non-location specific social media properties and things like that, describing who the business is and what they do. So like knows about attributes in organization schema. But in local business schema, you would have knows about, same as attributes, which are the page URLs that have accurate information published about the business, right? So that's where you would list citations and all that other stuff. And then area served attributes, which are the locations within the area that that company serves from that location. You understand? So you can have an ID page for the brand, which would go in the organization schema, and then an ID page for local business, which is location specific branded schema for a particular business location. Okay. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys sticking around. We'll see you guys next week.